It's week 10 of the college football season. We got some great games coming up this week, and I'm expecting a lot of fraud checks. Let's get straight into the predictions. We're going to kick things off with Ole Miss versus Arkansas. Ole Miss has looked fraudulent as hell a lot of the time this season. As high of expectations I had for them, they have not met them. And with a 6-2 record, they are on the brink of collapse. Even right now, with 2 losses, I don't know if they make it into the college football playoff with just how loaded the SEC is right now. There's so many goddamn SEC teams with 1 loss that they better pray teams lose. They are going up against Arkansas, who, interestingly enough, at times have looked absolutely amazing, right? Like when they beat Tennessee, and at other times have looked like absolute shit. It is difficult to expect what Arkansas team we are going to get. I honestly don't know what Arkansas team we're going to get. But I do not have faith laying 7.5 points on Ole Miss. It's way too much. With that being said, not only am I taking Arkansas plus 7.5, that's a lockety-lock, I am taking Arkansas money line. I said what I said. Arkansas money line. I said there's going to be some fraud checks this week. And it is going to be Arkansas fraud checking the fuck out of Ole Miss. I don't like this spread. It is too big. It's too much. I feel that Arkansas at home is too much of a powerhouse for Ole Miss to handle. Especially if that Ole Miss offense stalls. If the Ole Miss offense stalls, it's over. Because that Arkansas team is good enough to compete with a shitty Ole Miss offense. If Ole Miss offense goes out there and kills Arkansas, I have no doubt in my mind they're going to cover, they're going to win easily. But I don't think so. I don't think so. I am going to be a ballsy motherfucker. My balls are so big they're hanging on the floor right now. I am taking Arkansas plus 7.5 and the money line. I said what I said. We'll see what happens. Next game. Probably the best game of the week. A bit of a disappointment. This is the 12 o'clock game and not like a 7:30 primetime game. Ohio State versus Penn State. 2 teams at the top of the Big Ten. 2 teams who both really want to win this game. Let's put it this way. If Penn State wins this game, the likelihood of them going undefeated is very high. More likely than not, they're going to play in the Big Ten Championship going undefeated. And they may lose the Big Ten Championship, but this game essentially guarantees a spot for Penn State in the college football playoff. On the flip side, a loss for Ohio State would mean they're still in college football playoff range, but they better be worried. Because with 2 losses, it may be difficult to squeeze in. Especially because they also have a game against Michigan, which is a big game, even though this year is not as big as the previous years. You guys should know who I'm going with, especially if you watch my reaction video from last week. I'm going with Penn State nitty-gritty Lions. Not only is Penn State going to beat the fuck out of Ohio State, they are going to win so big that me, James Franklin, Jerry Sandusky, Coach Paterno, Micah Parsons, and Bill Clinton are going to have a ditty party in the Penn State locker room. Yeah. On a more serious note, Penn State is the better team. Ohio State has been fraudulent all season long, while Penn State had its moments of weakness, but persevered and pulled through every goddamn time. The spread is interesting because Ohio State started off, I think, at one point like 3.5 point favorites. The spread is currently all the way down to 3, which I feel it should be closer to even. Definitely not an Ohio State favored by more than 3 points. That's egregious in my opinion. I can see why Ohio State's favored by 3, but that's more so the public overrating Ohio State, thinking, oh my God, this Ohio State defense is so good. Oh my God, this Ohio State team is going to win everything. Ohio State ain't winning shit. And they're sure as hell ain't winning this game. I got Penn State plus 3. I got Penn State to win this game. And we're going to have a ditty party in the Penn State locker room. Penn State has the run game. They have the pass game. And they have the defense. I know that the starting quarterback, was questionable. He was a little bit banged up. But motherfucker, this game is playing in November. It's November. I don't care if you're injured. You better be playing. This game essentially guarantees you a spot in the college football playoff. Win or lose the Big Ten championship. You have to. And I mean you have to play in this game, and you got to play your ass off. Penn State is the better team. They are the better program. They will win this game. Penn State +3, Penn State money line. Let's move on. The Florida Gators versus the Georgia Bulldogs. Another weird little spread, specifically because Bulldogs actually opened as around like 16.5 point favorites. As you guys can see, they are currently favorites of 14.5. And if this spread keeps dropping, then I am going to be even more confident in my pick. I am going to go with Florida to cover and Georgia to win, praying that somehow, some way, this nasty-ass Gators team upsets Georgia. I would be over the moon if the Gators upset Georgia. But unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen. I feel that Gators will play well enough to compete with this Georgia team, but I don't think they'll be capable of upsetting them. You know, Georgia has looked weirdly bad at times and then fantastic at others. They obviously beat the shit out of Texas a few weeks ago while dropping a game to Alabama and also getting really close to losing to a Kentucky team that made absolutely no sense, right? Georgia's there. Georgia's good. We all know how good Georgia is. They're a powerhouse. They're probably going to make the college football playoff. But hey, with a nice little loss to the Gators, they may not. At this moment, I don't think I'm going to be betting this game. The previous two I'm for sure betting. This one, I'm more likely going to lean Gators +14.5, Georgia money line. If this spread drops to 14, I might sprinkle Gators. I'm not putting a full unit on the Gators, but I'll put a half unit on the Gators. I definitely am not as confident in the Gators pick as I am in Arkansas and Penn State picks. But shit, I think Gators keep this one close. But in the end, Georgia pull it away. I can see Georgia winning by a touchdown, maybe 10 points, but not by more than 14. I think it's too many points for a Gators team that's kind of getting hot at the right time. Not that it matters, they're not making the playoffs. But Gators +14, Georgia money line. Let's move on. Oregon Ducks versus Michigan Wolverines. Again, exact same spread as the Georgia game. Realistically, the way you should play it, if you're smart, is you bet either -14 Georgia, -14 Oregon, or you bet +14 Florida, +14 Michigan. What usually happens in these cases, I don't know if it's going to happen, usually one of the favorites covers, one of the underdogs covers. That's what happens the majority of the time. This is a bit of a trappy spread, and I'm going to be ballsy and pick the Oregon Ducks to cover, which means that, let's say, the Georgia Bulldogs cover, Michigan may cover, and I might go 0-2 on those picks. But on the flip side, I may go 2-0, and I'm a ballsy motherfucker, if you haven't noticed already. Oregon is a powerhouse offensively, defensively, while Michigan does not know how to play offense. They literally do not know how to play offense. Michigan's defense is what might keep them in this game, especially the fact that this game is being played at home for Michigan. But I just don't have faith in this Michigan team whatsoever. They won me a couple dollars last week, I get it, but you can't compare Oregon to Michigan State. It's idiotic if you do. I don't believe Michigan can handle this Oregon offense, and I don't believe they will even be able to score more than 10 points on this Oregon defense. Nothing about this game indicates to me that Michigan can even keep it close, let alone win. We're not even talking about win. They're not winning shit. My official pick for this game will be Oregon to win, Oregon to cover the spread, whatever the spread may be. I don't give a fuck what the number is. I'm laying the points with Oregon. Similar to the last game, I'm not betting on this game as confidently as the first two. I might sprinkle a half a unit on Michigan -14. Oregon -14, but a little bit of a weird game. I may stay away from it. It's a bit trappy. It feels that the spread is too low and that the chances are Michigan's defense is what will keep them in this game. Unless Michigan remembers how to throw the ball, because if they remember how to throw the ball, they actually have a dangerous offense because their running game is going to open up a lot more and it's going to be much more lethal. But at this point, it's too late in the season. The season's already over for Michigan. They're bums. I mean, their Super Bowl, I shouldn't say Super Bowl, their national championship is going to be against Ohio State, and they just pray they beat Ohio State. As for this game, Oregon wins, Oregon covers. That's my official pick. On to the next one. We're going to get into the night games, and we're going to start off with Louisville versus Clemson. Interesting game. I feel that, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time I'm predicting a Clemson game since their week 1 against Georgia. I could be wrong here, and you could fact check me on that one, but I think I'm almost certain. Cade Clubberlang, or whatever the hell his name is playing better than I expected. Weird spread here in the sense that I feel too many points are being given to Clemson. Maybe I myself am underestimating Clemson, but I just don't think they're worthy of 10-point favorites over a Louisville team that's not necessarily great, but they're not bad, especially on offense. They have a decent little offense. With that being said, based on this spread being so goddamn high, I am going to take Clemson to win, Clemson to cover. I'm not betting this game. I can tell you right off the bat, I am not going to bet this game officially. I like Clemson over Louisville. I could see Louisville keeping it close, though. It's a little bit difficult for me to read this game. I don't have much of a read on this game as I do on the others. Clemson has been hot. They've been really hot. And it's interesting because this type of week is the type of bullshit where they lose, just outright lose. I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to come out, play well, do what they have to do. Clemson will win, Clemson will cover, and they're going to give Louisville a tough time. I don't think this Louisville team is as good as they were last season. And that's the reality. That's the simple reality. That is why Dabo is going to have his team ready to feast, and they will feast on Louisville. Clemson wins, Clemson covers. I'm not betting it though. I'm just making a pick for the video. Next game, a game that I for sure am betting, Texas A&M versus South Carolina in the trappiest spread of the week. Texas A&M being 3-point favorites is absolutely criminal. Criminal! Texas A&M has been so hot, one of the hottest teams in the entire nation after their loss to Notre Dame in week 1. They haven't dropped a game since, and they've looked unstoppable coming off a monster win against LSU. South Carolina is 4-3, but this 4-3 can just as easily be 5-2, if not 6-1, if you count what happened at LSU and Alabama. But again, we're not going to count that shit because they lost those games. You guys should know by now how much I love this South Carolina Gamecocks team. They have looked amazing. There's nothing more I love than a cock. South Carolina is going to win this game. They are going to cover the spread. They have been absolute covering machines. Covering machines. They didn't lose. They did lose those games against LSU and Bama, but they covered them with ease. This South Carolina team is so goddamn underrated, and I kept saying it over and over and over and over again. When this team plays those top tier teams, which Texas A&M is without a doubt a top tier team, I'm going to bet them to cover and to win. In this case, I believe that the Cocks are going to cover. They are going to win. This team has all the right pieces. Lenora Sellers is a beast. Rocket Sanders is a beast. And this defense is locked down. I get it. Texas A&M has been a powerhouse. They looked really good. And as somebody who's rooting for Texas Longhorns to win the whole natty and the whole thing, I am terrified of Texas A&M. Absolutely terrified. But what would make me absolutely less terrified is if they somehow manage to lose this game, which I feel that they will because South Carolina is covering machines. I'm going to ride with my boys this week, just like I've rode with my boys every week thus far. South Carolina wins. South Carolina covers. Book it. I have no doubt about it in my mind. I don't care if it's ballsy. I like ballsy cocks. Next game, no, not the final game. Next game is going to be Wisconsin versus Iowa. Toughy wuffy. Weird little spread too. It feels as if they're begging you to take Iowa here. Wisconsin has been pretty mediocre, but so has Iowa. I believe this Iowa offense is a lot better than this Wisconsin offense, and that's going to be the key difference. Defensively, I feel these teams kind of balance each other out. Pretty good both on defense, but on the side of Iowa, this team is a lot more talented than previous years. Absolutely unbelievable run game and a passing attack that can get shit done. Truly can get shit done. I am going to go with Iowa -3, Iowa money line. I will not be betting this game unless it's going to be a light little sprinkle. I can see Iowa pulling off their typical bullshit. Weird game. I'm predicting it for the sake of the video, but in IRL, I'm not going to do anything with it. I'm going to stay as far away from it as possible. It makes me nervous why Iowa is such low favorites. I feel that they could easily be -4, even -5. 3 points is a bit weird, especially knowing that 3 points is a crucial number in football. I mean, you guys all know that. Iowa wins. Iowa covers. Weird game. Stay away from it. But I would want to watch it, though. I mean, I'm not going to because obviously there's a bunch of other 7:30 games that are much better, like Texas A&M and South Carolina. But I'll keep my eye on this game. Maybe I could get one of these teams live. If you like Iowa, bet them live. If you like Wisconsin, bet them live. That's my suggestion for this game. But as for the video official pick, will be Iowa -3, Iowa money line. Now the final game. A quick one. I'm going to go over this one quickly. Kentucky versus Tennessee. Simply for the fact that, yes, Kentucky sucks balls. I know. They're 3-5. I feel that this spread is way too big and way too many points for a Tennessee team that's been struggling, especially offensively. Kentucky defense is not horrible, and going up against Nico, who's a freshman, they may expose some of his flaws. I think Tennessee wins this game, but I believe Kentucky keeps it a lot closer than people expect. Like, a lot closer than people expect. I am going to bet Kentucky plus 17.5 here. I believe Kentucky will be good enough to cover the spread. I don't think they're going to win this game. I believe Tennessee wins, but Kentucky's going to put up a dogfight. Good defense mixed with a decent enough offense will be the reason why Kentucky covers. Especially because I don't believe this Tennessee team can outscore Kentucky as easily as some people may think. 17 points is too many goddamn points, and that is why I got Kentucky to cover. But I have Tennessee winning. In a game, I will be betting the Kentucky spread, as long as it stays at 17. If it starts dropping a bit, I may stay away from it. But if not, I'm rolling with my boys in blue. Kentucky plus 17.5, Tennessee money line. Those are my official pick for Week 10 of the college football season. Hopefully you have a great week. Stay tuned for more content coming soon.